In a lot of ways, THQ's WWE SmackDown series is sort of like their version of EA's Madden NFL series. It's released on a yearly basis, and it's easily their most popular franchise they have. Also, much like Madden, every once in a while, the series just kind of goes through something of a transition year. This year's WWE SmackDown vs. Raw is definitely a transition year. They've added online play as well as a few new gameplay upgrades and a couple of little mode additions. However, none of the gameplay upgrades are really that significant a boost over the already great game engine that was introduced last year, and the online play leaves a whole lot to be desired. Most of the additions that have been made to this year's gameplay engine are pretty incremental, but they're neat. They sort of add to the basic flow of the match, make it more realistic, like an actual TV bout. If you start a match between like a good guy and a bad guy, chances are you're going to get into some sort of little tiff at the beginning. You'll basically be presented with a sort of timing-based button-pressing mini-game where, like, so if it's a test of strength, the first one to press X gets the first boost on the test of strength. Or if it's a shoving contest, basically you're given a meter, kind of like the kick meter in Madden NFL. These also come into play during the actual game, like with chop battles, so you'll be going back and forth chopping each other. There's also a little spanking contest in the bra and panties match that's kind of the same thing. While these might seem like they were kind of distracting, actually they're a really nice addition. There's also a new meter system that sort of plays to the personalities of the wrestlers. Like if a guy's a real good guy, he'll have a sort of good guy meter, and if he's evil, then he'll have a heel meter. Basically, by performing things that play to your character's personality, the meter will build. So if you're a good guy, you do a lot of high flying, high risk maneuvers, basically anything that gets the crowd behind you, your meter will build. Likewise, on the heel side, if you do a lot of dirty tricks, complain to the ref, basically anything that would anger the crowd, that's how your meter builds. What does it actually build to? It depends on the character. If you're a good guy, you'll basically get some sort of temporary invincibility where you can't actually be attacked and you can do all kinds of crazy damage with your attack, sort of like hulking up. If you're a bad guy, you're basically given this special low blow move that is as powerful as a finisher and basically lets you pin an opponent almost immediately. Similar to the minigames, this is actually a pretty cool way to sort of reflect the characterizations and personalities of WWE superstars in a match. Overall, though, these are really the only changes to the gameplay. There's nothing here as significant as like the new grappling system that was introduced last year. The actual flow of the action in the matches is basically as it was last year. It's still the same kind of striking, grappling, Irish whip mechanics. Unfortunately, the AI also seems a little more deficient than it was last year. There are certain situations where the AI just kind of flubs. For instance, sometimes when your opponent has a weapon, he'll just kind of stand there over you while you're down. He won't actually hit you. The AI just doesn't quite take advantage of situations as well as it should. Easily the most touted feature that's been added this year is the online functionality, but unfortunately it is a pretty big disappointment. You go in and play either a single match or a bra and panties match. That's it. That's all you can actually play in the online mode. There's an extremely limited roster of arenas you can play in. You can only do the Raw and SmackDown ones. All the available wrestlers are online, and also you can take any created wrestler you want online, but it's just basic head-to-head play. Overall, this mode is just really disappointing because it just feels so 2001. There's no bells, no whistles, no nothing. The big addition to this year's season mode is the full addition of voice talent from the WWE. Every single character in the story mode has full lines of dialogue. They don't talk through text boxes anymore. They will talk to you just as they would like on TV.
Congratulations on winning your match. I was watching it backstage and I've got to tell you, I really liked what I saw.
Whatever character you choose for the season mode unfortunately only talks in text, but all the conversations with the other characters provide realistic voice work. There are also a couple of new creation modes included in the game. The creative pay-per-view is pretty much what it sounds like. You just create a match card within your selected arena with up to 8 matches on the card. There's also a create a belt mode where basically you can just design a championship belt of whatever your heart's desire. The roster for this year's game is significantly scaled back from last year's title. There's only just over 40 wrestlers in the game. All the main carders are there, all the guys you would expect. There are a lot of lower card wrestlers like Billy Kidman and Orlando Jordan that just didn't make it in. There's also some legendary wrestlers included in the game just like last year. They're nice to have, and they actually have their authentic entrances this year, but if it had been the difference between getting the legends and maybe, just making them creatable and adding in some more real wrestlers, that might have been a more preferable option. All the match types you've come to expect from a SmackDown game are here. In fact, every match type from last year's game is here once again. Everything from bra and panties to Elimination Chamber. They've also added the parking lot brawl match this year, which is basically just a match that takes place in a parking lot surrounded by a circle of cars. You can just use the cars like weapons. You Irish whip guys into windows, bust tires, things like that. It's a pretty cool match. It's rare when you can call a game disappointing and great all at the same time, but that's pretty much what WWE SmackDown vs. Raw is. This is fundamentally a great game, but you can't help but feel like this game just isn't living up to its potential. There was such an amazing framework put together in Here Comes the Pain that just doesn't feel as well carried over into this year's title. If you enjoyed previous entries in the SmackDown series, you're going to like SmackDown vs. Raw, period. But if you're expecting something up to the level of quality of Here Comes the Pain, you're going to want to taper your expectations a bit because it's just not quite that good.